Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BETSPERTS.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Andy, I hope you had a spectacular 4th of July. It has been a great weekend here in the LBC. Yeah, I love it when the 4th of July falls on a weekend. The fact that we bled into Monday and had a nice little holiday today was incredible. And the fact that it fell on Manic Monday, can you ask for anything better?
You really can't. The weather's been a little hot for my liking. I'm cold, I'm a little cold-blooded though. I need the weather to calm down. Went to the pool today. It was nice. Kids had fun. Drank some beers. Still drinking beers. I got one almost done. This is my next one is going to be a Princess Yum Yum. Which, it's a raspberry. I've had one of these already. It's a raspberry Kolsch. I don't even know who makes this. I should shout about Denver Beer Company. I'm guessing something local to here.
They went very bold with their branding. The company's name is super bland, Denver Beer Company, but then the beers they made with the Princess Yum Yum, they went hard in the creative vein there. That's
little
fun,
raspberry
man.
Kolsch.
Well, that's cool. So you're out in the mountains, man. You're up in God's country. That's great, man.
Oh yeah,
that's great.
We'll be up here for one more day and then back to Minnesota, back to the studio. Right now, I'm in my brother-in-law's office. You can see his stuff behind me. He's got a beautiful cabinet here full of things. But yeah, NFL. We're back to the NFL. And I said it in the description. We are going to do some emergency Olympic podcasts. Just because we said we can't neglect the NFL, we need to do, but we can't neglect the Olympics. It's every 5 years now, the way things have been going. So we will be doing some Olympic stuff, but from here on out, until we get to the football season, everything's football. Football. I know you want it. You got to have it. The previews, we'll do it same as last year. We'll do 2 teams per day, 2 on Monday, 2 on Wednesday of the same division like we did. We still haven't decided on order, but we'll get it figured out. We'll leave some of the intriguing teams for last, mostly so we can figure out who the hell their quarterback is, if it's Jordan Love, or if we're giving any hints on that. Wednesday, I don't want to speak for Drew, but the schedule grid, I think, is coming together.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm very excited. And the schedule this year, it's wild. There's a lot of funny wrinkles. Not like last year where they had kind of built in all these fail-safes if they had to cut weeks and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
But there are a number of very interesting schedule nuances that I think are going to tilt the balance. Notably, not to give it away, we're going to go into this a lot more detail on Wednesday, but notably in the NFC East and the AFC North. Those two divisions are broadly impacted by the way that they've laid out the schedule. And I think that gives us a little bit of an edge as we handicap those divisions and who can win those divisions. So I'm very excited to get into that.
Yeah, for sure. And people love the schedule grids. Obviously, Drew puts a lot of work in on those, and he'll, I'm sure, release them out in a follow-up tweet so you can take a look at them, save them on your, put them on your hard drive, save them in your Google Drive so you can have them on your phone and look at them. I do that all year. Like I have parts highlighted. I actually take mine and bring it into a thing where I can be highlighting some areas, and I make some notes on it so I can, we make some plans for later on in the season. But yeah, today, as we talked about in the description, today's going to be great for, you real degenerates that bet baseball. Like that have been, you've been betting baseball, you've been betting the NBA playoffs, the NBA season, the NHL,
Euro. You've been
Euros.
tailing Andy's Euro, and now you're up 1 million units because he swept the quarterfinals.
Swept the quarterfinals after a questionable round of 16. But yeah, table tennis,
US
women's
Open.
softball, we have the College World Series. There's plenty of golf every fucking week. Tennis.
What's the craziest, what's the most degenerate thing? What's the most degenerate thing you bet on in the last week?
In the last week?
Besides the Rocket Mortgage Classic.
The hockey, some of the hockey stuff, just because I couldn't name a player on the Canadians.
Hey, you know what? Hey, Andy, thank you for saying that. We have to shout out our good friend,
Andy McNeil,
digital gambler, Andy McNeil. He was hard in the paint on the Tampa Bay Lightning, and I am leveraged to the balls on series handicaps, unders, everything.
Under 5.5. I have a sweet price at over 6-1. Same bet. So, like,
Andy,
actually,
thank you. Yes, thank you.
I'm waiting to get that flash score alert where the Lightning score the first goal like they do every week or every single game. I'd love this.
I played the under tonight. So hopefully we get that in the third period.
I've been betting I've not only been having the sweep, the under 5.5. I've been betting the puck line every game. I'm leaving it alone tonight. I'm not going to double down on game 4. I'm just going to let it ride.
Lightning 1-0, and they lift the trophy.
Yeah. Well, I'd be happy with that. We'll take that. So,
yeah.
Lightning win tonight, says Dexter in the chat. Yes. That would be great. But yes, as you can see on the side here, we have some. This isn't gonna be a long one. We're gonna save the long ones for really ripping through the schedule, for really getting a deep dive into some of these teams when we get to them. So this, this probably be a quick hour. We're just gonna rip through some of these topics because there are some things. Again, like I was kind of joking, and then we went completely off topic, like we've been drinking all day. But no, and the point I was trying to make was like, some of you haven't paid attention to the NFL as much as like, oh God, our friend Suma, who is,
I know,
just
he's
knuckle deep in the NFL.
He's way ahead of us.
He's so far ahead of us. We need to talk to him more. But if you have, like, if you just kind of zoned out come Super Bowl, maybe tuned in a little for the draft, and you haven't paid attention much, this is gonna be a nice little catch up. We're gonna rip through some stuff. We're going to go quick. We've got, 6 topics on the side, and we're going to start with the 17
Is Ons Jabeur on the rundown?
Ons Jabeur is not.
Oh, okay.
I'm a little worried about the next one.
She's having a great fortnight, man.
Sabalenka
tends to fall apart at this stage of the tournaments. Just saying.
The way she's hitting, though, she can hit right through Ons. I'm a little worried.
Ons is just going to give her drop shots. She's going to drop her to death. I cannot wait. Let's see.
When is that match? Is that tomorrow?
Yeah, I believe it's tomorrow. Yeah.
I bet that over.
So, it's going to be great. I can't wait. Ons Jabeur 50-1, 1 shot, 1 kill final. The only bet I played on the women's side has been so much fun because she's been a dog in a bunch of these matches. Played some really, really killer opposition and come through. Wimbledon's been fun overall.
For sure.
Wish Rublev had won today. Otherwise, it's been a very successful.
That was
very successful,
really wild match.
He fell apart.
Yeah,
that sucked. Anyway, let's get to the rundown. What's first on your list?
I want to talk. If you get to talk about your tennis, I get to talk about my tennis. I bet the young British girl today. But I bet her on the handicap. And
what was her name? Redonkula?
Well, Redonkulous.
Redonkulous. Yeah.
But no, I bet her on the handicap, and I bet her to win 2-0. And I'm like, I'm down. Like I'm gonna try to break even. And she retired. Thank God.
Those bets got
voided. They all got voided. I didn't bet her money line. I'm like, you know what? I'm not betting the money line.
You're running good, man.
Hard.
You're running.
I never run good on retirement. So all right, let's get the NFL.
Well, what's your
pick for keep this to an hour?
What are your Euro picks if you're running so good? What do you got?
I don't know. If I give that out here, then I got to come up with a new segment for Brown Bag tomorrow.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll tune into Brown Bag picks tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'll get my Euro picks. I'll get my Andy Footy picks.
I don't know yet. So either way, we'll get to that. But anyway, the first topic, and I don't know how much of a big deal this is going to be, but there are 17 games. We have a bit of a weirdness. There is, I'd say, outside of the imbalance in the amount of home games one has, do you think this makes much of a big deal for the handicap in any way, shape, or form? The only thing I can think of is maybe more of a chance of injury, obviously.
Of course.
There's a bigger chance a team has clinched something late and will be resting players.
Yes.
And then really it's just, the imbalance for who was it? The team that is it Atlanta?
Atlanta only has 7 home games, yeah.
Yeah, Atlanta only has 7 home games because
kind of sucks for them.
Compared to some teams that have 9.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Your point about the injuries is important. I think it's worth noting. The teams that are generally stars and scrubbiers, the Rams of the world, I think you have to think a little bit more carefully about how you want to attack them if you're going to play them at all in the preseason. And this, 17 games, a lot of these guys played most of a preseason game anyway, so they were playing 17-ish a year anyway, and I don't think this really has much of a bump. But I will also say, considering what we saw in the NBA, what we've seen in other sports as it relates to injuries, baseball, like really like just the overall, like the pandemic has just really impacted kind of player preparation and health and fitness and stuff. So I'm prepared for an injury-ridden season, irrespective of the fact that there's an extra game. What do you think?
I think so too. I mean, we saw it. It's bad every year. It's football, man. First of all, it's just football. Like,
it's violent as shit.
It's a very violent sport. People get hurt every year. There's a whole Twitter account that counts ACL injuries, like that whole, the ACL Recovery Club or whatever. Like we count that every year. So I think maybe smarter coaches will. I don't think obviously we're ever going to get to the level of like the NBA because there's 82 games. There weren't this year, but normally. But like smarter coaches will be smarter at the end of the year when it comes to things like resting players, especially when they realize like, is there a difference between the 2 and the 4 seed? What am I fighting for the playoffs? Would I rather give these guys a time to heal, some things like that?
You want a real quick thought on this? There's only one team that I think has the potential to rest anyone.
Falcons?
No, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The AFC is way too competitive that anyone's going to run away and hide in that conference. All of the very good teams, the Bills, the Browns, the Ravens, the Chiefs, they all play each other. So there's going to be some attrition. No one's going 17-0. And then I would also point to, Tampa Bay is kind of the class in the NFC by a long shot, and they have kind of an easy schedule. So I think if I was getting involved in the Tampa Bay markets, I'm probably steering clear of some of the
overs.
I mean, this is contradictory because we're like the only way they're
only so good.
Yeah, the only way that they're resting players in weeks 16, 17, 18 is if they're 15-1 and they've already made their win total over well in time. But I do, as I guess as I would look at like say prop markets, right? Like receiving yards, passing yards, stuff like that. Like people are going to make a case Brady overs and stuff like and I would swerve those just because I could see Tampa Bay potentially having enough room on the NFC to rest.
I think for sure this is going to be a big topic on Wednesday when we get into the schedules. Because you're right. The AFC is so competitive, and you really will have to run away with you'll have to have a 1 seed locked up in the. There might be some teams, like I said. I think they're. It's just not something we can predict. Like I think there's going to be a team that's like in the 2, 3, 4 spot. That's like I have nothing to play for. Like we could move up a spot.
That's great. Yeah, you're
right. like predicting. Well, if we were to host the 4 seed later in the playoffs, we'd have a home game. We should always try. It's like, man, is that ifs and buts worth it? Playing some injured players in week 17.
Point.
So I think it might be a thing, but we might not know about it. It's probably something to evaluate in season.
Great point.
So
that's a great point.
Once we get to 17 games, the 17 game thing again, we'll probably talk more about it Wednesday with some of these teams that have a bit of an imbalanced schedule, not only because of the extra home game, but there's a few teams that got just extra screwed, even more than just Atlanta. So
I guess one last final thought on the 17 game schedule. I'm assuming that the player props for season-long player props for receiving and rushing, I'm assuming that those were all just extrapolated, assuming 17 instead of 16. And that's a little dicey because that kind of boils down to the injury bug sort of deal and the rest sort of deal. Like, I don't know that it's a clean extrapolation that you're going to get the same normal load that you would get on game 17 as you would in a 16 game season. So I think player props, skill position players, unders are probably going to be plus EV as you start, and then you can identify some from there, right?
There's going to be like, and again, 5% bigger chance for an injury. You're playing if you play all the games, you're just playing one more full speed game.
Right.
Yes, you can get injured in camp, you can get injured in practice. There's another week of practice. There's there's a whole nother week of the deep dive, really.
Yeah.
Like you guys are lucking out there. So
no extra buy.
No extra buy. I think we'll see the extra buy. when we eventually go to 18 games. But that'll be something we talk about, maybe 2 years from now? Christ, they're going to. They will. So
Do you think next year probably? Everyone hates 17.
It might just be next
17
year.
is such a horrible. It's such a. This is no one's happy with this number. They're going to go to 18 next year. I think it's going to be quick.
You're probably right. I think you're probably right. So rule changes. Well, they do this every year, and honestly, some of the rule changes aren't as big of a deal as when they say we're going to emphasize this. And if you watched and paid attention, we talked about it ad nauseum, the lack of offensive holding calls. That was something that got brought up. That's not in the rule changes per se, but they said we're not going to change anything, but they're going to have a big meeting with all the refs, and they're going to make them watch like a training video or some shit. I don't know what they do down there. If there's any refs or a ref, I'd love to talk. That would be a good interview.
Ooh.
Getting a ref on here. If you know a ref,
I'm going to work on that.
I'll give you you'll get a tumbler. I'll give you a damn tumbler if you give me a ref. So, but I mean, that is going to be, something to watch, because it's like, well, are they actually going to, they can say we're going to make them watch a video when in actuality behind the scenes they can be like, call it more. So it'll be something to kind of monitor. A lot of that stuff you just kind of have to pay attention and see what they're going to do. But I mean, in the actual rule changes were overtime is eliminated in the preseason, which is just the ultimate.
Hallelujah.
If you are betting preseason games, the mildest of adjustments to totals when there's no chance of overtime. A lot of teams did the smart thing anyway.
Coaches were going for 2.
Coach would go for 2.
Going for the tie anyway. They were.
Yeah, but there were some dumb teams that would go into overtime in the preseason, which is stupid. So, another thing that happened last year that was a bigger adjustment besides the offensive holding was the lack of, unless your name. Oh God, I'm going to butcher the guy's name. The kicker from Atlanta, who supposedly can just make any onside kick work. Young-Hoo Koo. Yeah, he was money at it, but yeah, he accounted for like 80% of the successful onside kicks. Like it was the lowest level of recovery since 2001.
Yeah,
they did some adjustments for safety reasons. Now they're not walking back the safety stuff. A big part of it was they didn't want people colliding at full speed.
Yeah,
so they put more people closer to the ball. So you were able to have all your players within this setup zone, they called it, on the defense or on the recovery side. So on the receiving side, they're going to make 2 of those players move out of the setup zone. So there'll be 2 fewer players are in this really close area that can recover. It should help a little, but again, like handicapping wise, I don't think any of these are going to be like major adjustments. Just something to think about if you're live betting, I guess.
Put it in the old brain box. Yeah.
Put it in the old brain box. I think it's there. They did fix replay a little. They weren't letting them communicate. They would just kind of tell them this is what we're seeing. Now they're going to let the replay officials, the way they worded this, designated members and the replay official of the officiating department can now provide certain objective information to the on-field officials.
Hallelujah.
I think they can just be like, it hit the ground. We can't.
Yeah,
that's not a catch.
No, that's not a catch. Yeah,
I think
we see it hitting the ground.
Again, probably nothing handicapping, but this might make the game better. Like the more common sense we can put into replay, the better, I would think.
I agree.
And it is fun. The one here is funny. Do you remember the Tom Brady pass that he caught and then threw again?
I do.
That will be a loss of
now?
Down now. It's a loss of down now too. So it's funny,
okay. So
odds
the odds
of something that happening again are so small.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're a quarterback, no, don't throw that ball. I guess.
Do not throw the ball a second time.
I'm not sure I've seen it before that where they caught it and tried to throw it again. Most know to just take off with it. So
I think
that's a dumb one.
The important thing here is the NFL continues to crack down on the cheater Tom Brady.
Yeah. Oh, that's kind of where I wanted to go with this. Like, they are not going to let him continue to get away with this stuff. The one I would like to know how many plays do you think are run in an NFL season?
Oh boy, ballpark.
So there's 256 games. A team runs on average 80 a game. So 160 a game.
Well, no,
160 times.
no. 80 total a game, 40 per
You think
side.
a team only runs 40 plays a game?
No, I guess it's actually maybe more like like
60?
I think like 35 pass attempts, 20-ish rushes would be an average game.
Let's go with
so
60.
55, yes. So 60
I'm
asides,
going
120,
60
120 a game.
times 256.
We're not
30,000.
counting. I guess I'm not thinking of like punts, kickoff, special team stuff. So yeah,
No,
maybe
it's
it is.
only plays where a quarterback could catch the ball and throw
Okay,
it.
so
30,000 plays or so.
30,000 plays. It's
It happened
one
once, and it didn't happen the year before. So 1 out of 60,000 or so. But they did nip that one in the bud. That will not be an issue. The rules committee is. I did read a bunch about the rules committee. There's some interesting stuff on, like, there's some teams that are very forward thinking on overtime, and I think we will see changes to that eventually. None of that passed. Like, one of them was they flip a coin, and the winner of the toss either gets to decide who gets the ball or where they start on the field, and the other team gets to choose whatever they don't choose. They something like that. It was a cool little way to go about it. I think eventually we'll see something unique, and it's so hard to make it fair in overtime. You win the coin toss; it's so advantageous. They need to fix that a little.
You want a hot take?
Yeah,
I don't really care.
No, I'd like something.
Leave the overtime rules where they are. I don't.
It just sucks that the coin toss is like the biggest part of overtime.
The good thing is that they just made it shorter. That was the important part. The ones where it's like drive, 3 and out, punt, 3 and out, punt, 3 and out, punt, and you're like, okay, these teams
somebody
are not
tweeted this the other day. I don't know who it was, but I should give them credit. But they said, like, if a game can go to overtime, it shouldn't be able to end in a tie. What's the point of overtime if it can still end in a tie? That's my only qualm with it. I'd like that fixed. So I probably am in the same camp. Like, I'd like to see it more fair, but I don't really give a big shit, I guess. But yeah, you'll probably see something down the road here. The biggest rule change, though.
As long as your -8 is still live in overtime, that's all I care, right? Like if you can kick a field goal and then you still can get a pick six, right? Princess Yum on board. Is a -8 still live in overtime? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
It is. Okay. It's a lot.
I think so. I don't know. I'll have to go back and check that. But I mean, the rule change we really need to talk about is the one I do hate because it's going to confuse me, is the jersey thing. Like, you're allowed to have whatever jersey you want.
Did they change the rules a year or two ago, though? When the interception happens, then the play is blown dead. Game's over.
They did. I don't think
you can't pick six?
You can't pick six. Like, I think it was the way it was at first. That was a thing. And then they're like, we should fix that. Like, why would it matter?
Okay,
like, in the spirit of not kicking an extra point when time has elapsed or when time has expired.
So if you lay 7.5 or 8, you're dead when it goes overtime. Okay.
Or if you took the points, you're home.
Won. You're home free.
It's like tennis. Like, you've already won as long as the game finishes.
As long as the game finishes.
So, I'm kind of joking. I don't really give a shit about the jersey change thing. It is going to be confusing, and really, you won't see a lot of players won't do it because you're forced to buy the entire stock of all the jerseys that are out there, unless you wait a full year. So you can, if you do it this year, you have to buy your stock. If you wait till next year, you don't have to.
I guess that disproportionately hurts the players who are popular.
Or veteran players who have more jerseys out there.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, like if you're a veteran or more popular and you've had your stock is fat, you gotta wait a year to change your number.
Yeah,
I don't think this is going to be a big deal at all.
No, it's just dumb. Like, it's a dumb thing. They are going to emphasize taunting a little. Again, I don't know if that's an actionable angle, but if you really get mad. Well, and that's the thing. Like, if you're going to get mad because your team lost, an important chunk of yards on a taunting play, know that, like, the players have been informed. They're going to emphasize this shit where, God forsake you, throw the peace sign up or something like that.
Yeah, or hold
that's
my
like
dick.
The coolest taunting.
Yeah, hold my dick was probably the best taunting, and that would definitely get you a 15-yard penalty in today's NFL. No fun league, goddammit.
No fun league.
Fucking fun. Yes.
All right, coaching changes. We got 7.
Big one. This was a big year. This was a
7 brand new ones.
big year. And especially the ones that changed and who came in and how it all is turning over, I think is pretty important.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? Alphabetically? Art Smith?
Well, let's list. We're going to list them off quick.
Alphabetical. Atlanta Falcons.
Arthur Smith, Tennessee's, and this is the thing. It's a 2-part thing. It's not just
a two-edged sword.
It's a two-edged sword. Another team lost for the most part. One of these, nobody lost anybody. I guess Urban Meyer's family lost him for the season. He's not going to see them, but for the most part, yeah.
For this
Arthur
season,
Smith,
at least part of this season.
Part of this season. Arthur Smith is now in Atlanta. He was Tennessee's offensive coordinator. Do we really have to do them alphabetically? I haven't listed
you can do
it.
You do
Okay, Urban Meyer, obviously in Jacksonville, out of retirement. We'll see if this is, is this going to be Jimmy Johnson, or is this going to be Bobby Petrino? Sorry again, Atlanta fans. But yeah, all right. Robert Saleh, New York Jets.
Who is the last college coach that was truly successful at the NFL?
Honestly, I think Chip Kelly was. It just wasn't how the league wasn't ready. And
that was the last one.
He didn't have this. He didn't. I don't think he had the backing. Cliff Kingsbury. Do you think he's been successful?
I'm not giving Cliff, I'm not giving Cliff any kind of credit.
No, I won't give him credit.
He backed his way out of the playoffs last year.
Yeah,
they managed to work their way out of the playoff picture. I also am not ready to give Matt Rule any credit at all. There's somebody we're forgetting about, though, I'm sure. Right?
Yeah. If somebody can think of it, hit us up with that for sure.
The last really successful jump from the college game to the pro game was
Saban.
That wasn't even that
Saban
successful.
was a funny one.
That was a funny one. This has
Pete Carroll, honestly.
Pete Carroll.
As much as we dig on Pete Carroll, like he's had enough success where that counts. Yeah, Dan just said it in the chat now too.
Pete Carroll.
So, all right. So the rest of them, Robert Saleh, he was the San Francisco D coordinator. He's now with the Jets. Brandon Staley will jump across town from the Rams, coordinating their defense.
What's your
Chargers?
What's your general temperature on that?
Well, let me list the last couple. We'll get to it. Sirianni at Philly, Nick Sirianni, he was the coordinator in Indy. And David Culley, I had to write this one down, who is the Baltimore's. He's the Houston head coach now. He was the Baltimore's assistant head coach, wide receivers coach, and passing game coordinator. I'm not even sure we're going to talk about that one.
So he was in charge of the weakest aspects of Baltimore's offense.
Yeah, the wide receiver in the passing game.
Got it.
Good job. That's how you move up in Houston.
Was this a move?
And they drafted a receiver.
Was it even a lateral move to go from Baltimore's room to the Houston job this year?
Oh man, it's hard. Like if you're a guy in that position who's not like Dable or like talk about Bieniemy, one of these hot names, or even like Saleh and. Or, one of the names that's getting thrown around, if you're not in that hot group of names and you get offered a head coaching position,
you take it.
Even if you're like their 9th choice, which I'm guessing that, that's hyperbole, but he certainly wasn't the first choice. Like, oh man, we got to go get David Culley.
Worst case scenario, you have another job for the rest of your life now. Once you get to be a head coach in the NFL, you can basically find any other job forever. You can go be offensive coordinator at Alabama if you want to. Yeah, like the last Texans coach.
Yeah, somebody just compared not only Culley, but he compared Sirianni to the Zach Taylor. Like you're just
the Sirianni.
He said over your skis, and it's just like it does feel like a placeholder. Like
you know what though?
Who can we get cheap? Before, like, we need to get this franchise is in like absolute utter disarray at this point. Like, hire somebody who will agree to do it for a cheap price so he can have that on his resume, and we'll get rid of him in 2 years when we figure out where this ship is headed. So I don't think it's a plus or a minus for this team.
Couple thoughts real quick. Dave, if the Texans fail this year, Dave Culley, this is a no lose for David Culley.
No,
his expectations are as low as you can possibly get. And if he does anything, if the Texans do anything positive, he will get a disproportionate amount of the credit. And if they fail, we all know that it's the Easterbrook character that deserves the blame, not David Culley. Like, this is a very clear no lose for David Culley. Absolutely want to put that on the record. Similarly for Nick Sirianni. And I don't know. My expectations of him are very low, but he's in an easy division. He got a job in an easy division with some talented players coming off of injury for that Philadelphia team. That one, of all the teams, as I stand back and you're like, who has the widest distribution of outcomes across every team in the NFL as we come into this new season of handicapping? Philadelphia is probably the widest distribution for me right now. They could be a 2-win team, they could be a 11-win team, and it could be anything in between.
When we get to them in the previews, we will definitely be stomping for some alt anything, alt over, alt under. So I mean, and we'll get to each one of these men in deeper detail. But I mean, just right off the bat, who out of these 7? Who's the best hire? Who's the one who makes the least amount of excitement for you? I think Art Smith probably the best hire.
Fred X.
Urban Meyer is a bit of a head scratcher. Very, very successful everywhere he's been, but we've seen people come and go. Producer Dan just sent me something in the chat here with first-time NFL head coach directly hired from college since 2000. Matt Rule, Kingsbury, Bill O'Brien, if you don't remember, was hired directly from college.
State.
Yep, right. Chip Kelly, Doug Marrone. I don't hate Doug Marrone. I think he's always had a bad situation.
What college was he hired from?
I can't answer that question right now.
$1 billion question.
Greg Schiano.
You could give me 30 guesses. I don't think I could tell you.
Somebody in the chat has to look that up and hit us with that. Doug Marrone.
What?
I feel like it was like Memphis or Buffalo or some smaller school like that. Anyway,
he jumped from.
We missed a big one.
He jumped from the non-Power 5 to an NFL head coaching job.
Syracuse.
Doug Marrone was Syracuse.
Syracuse, that counts.
It's Power 5.
All right, we missed a big one, though, and I'm going to leave him for last. So Petrino, Saban, Spurrier, Butch Davis. I mean, those are absolute disasters. But we missed Jim Harbaugh went from college directly to the NFL. And I don't want to say like he's been ubered, but I mean, he's had enough success where I think we should give him credit.
I'm fine with that, yeah.
I'm fine with that. So, all right. So your best hire here is Art Smith. Obviously, we bet a little on him to win Coach of the Year. Dan Campbell, I think it's like a dead heat for, everyone in the chat is saying like the same thing. Somebody says Culley is the ultimate free roll. Like, that's what he is. So, like, I kind of want to throw Culley and Sirianni out because those franchises are trying to figure things out. But right. So like Urban, Dan Campbell, and those other two guys, it's like, I mean, it's a 4-way tie for Lord knows one of those is the worst hire out of the bunch, and there's no telling now.
Yeah. Probably Dan Campbell.
But again, it's still probably Dan Campbell because he's an absolute lunatic.
But at the same time,
I love the passion.
It's the same sort of thing as the Dave Culley, though, which is like, if it works, then congratulations. If it doesn't, then you've got yourself in position to draft your next franchise quarterback, and you're not in purgatory. The way you should build your team is ABP, anything but purgatory. You either want to be competing or
you want to
not.
lose every game, or you want to be
anything but purgatory.
Even these teams that are like, oh, we could make like a 6-7 spot in the playoffs. Like that doesn't help you. It's hard to bounce off that unless it's just like, oh, you're young.
It keeps you employed.
It keeps you employed, yeah.
And
that's something we'll get to too.
Yeah, I think I'm cautiously optimistic about Brandon Staley. His scheme obviously worked, but he had two of the best defensive players of their generation on his team. So was it really Staley or was it, the talent?
I think he'll have the same situation though. They've just had injuries. Now they have a really good young quarterback. I think there's just enough talent where, like, I think Brandon Staley will probably end up in a Super Bowl at some point in the next 5-6 years because I don't think he's getting shit canned.
Well, he's coaching for the Chargers, right?
Yeah, I think that they're going to turn a corner. I don't believe in jinxes, mushes, moons, and gooches. He's going to end up in a Super Bowl, and it'll be one of those things where 10 years from now, he's like, oh man, this guy, he got a ring in LA.
I'll give him an
like,
AFC Championship game, but
yeah, we'll get him. We'll get him to the Super Bowl.
We're talking about like first people's curse kind of situation.
It might be, but either way, like let me run with my thing because I think I agree with you.
Okay.
I think it's like a case where he was it. When you have that much talent, it's hard to look bad. He's lucking into a very talented team with a really good young quarterback on a rookie deal where you can add a bunch of talent around him. They have a great defense. If they make an AFC title game, win an AFC title game, God forsake it, break the curse and win a Super Bowl, he's going to coach for another, however many years. There's going to be a low spot. He's going to get fired. He's going to take another job and be horrible, like in a rebuild. So, and I love I'm making a prediction for like 15 years down the road. I got to get this timestamp so I can have somebody save this in a file for like 15 years.
You're describing a specific arc that I feel like we've seen, like the Dan Quinn arc. This was like the Dan Quinn arc. Like if Dan Quinn succeeds as a coordinator, now he'll get another look probably, even though he definitely does not deserve one. Who else has this arc that you're describing? Mike McCarthy?
Honestly, Jimmy Johnson, man. Jimmy Johnson wasn't that great.
Had this arc,
those teams were just so talented. Or if you want to go past that, Barry Switzer.
Yeah.
He wasn't a good coach.
You're describing a very specific archetype that I feel like we've seen a bunch of in the NFL, so it's not crazy. He's young enough.
I'm honestly and people might not like this take, but Tony Dungy. I'm not sure he was a great motivator of men, but man, he just always said Peyton Manning, it's awful hard to when you have a whole nother head coach on the field, it's hard to be bad. Like they should have won more. Honestly, I don't give Tony credit, and I like him. He's a Minnesota guy. Played for the Gophers, so
he's my colleague at NBC. You should be more respectful of Tony Dungy. I guess I need to think a little bit harder about what his real legacy was. Like his leadership of men thing was always a little red flag.
And some of his hot takes now, and
they're pretty bad. They're pretty
rough.
Yeah, so they're pretty.
But like I said, we'll get into these 7 men even deeper, and not only that, but the men who replace them in their jobs when we get to team previews. So we'll bounce to rookies who matter. There's actually not that many. There's never that many. There's a few, like we've talked about. We talked about defensive players have a hard time coming into the league and making a big impact unless they're an edge rusher. Edge rushers are not reactive. Go kill the quarterback, not cover that guy. Read the play. Be a linebacker out in space. Read these run plays. Like an edge rusher who is a specific pass rusher is not having to be reactive. He just has to go after it. It is a little easier. It's still a big jump, but we've seen them be successful. Defensive rookies, it's hard to make a lot of cases for many of them to be impactful. And truthfully, honestly, on the other side of the ball, maybe a few wide receivers every year. You can have a Justin Jefferson year. We've seen that plenty of times. Odell's rookie year was amazing. Obviously remember way back Randy Moss, Anquan Bolden, what he did. Like a receiver can come in and change an offense. But 99% of the time, when a rookie is really, really important and makes a difference on a team, it's going to be a quarterback. And do you have more than – are there just 4? Is it 4 and maybe less?
Probably 3.
It's probably not a 4th. And I think I might be throwing out Lance.
I think I am too. It doesn't seem like he's for sure going to get the deal, which is weird.
This might be our first hot take of the year, but Mac Jones will be more impactful in this NFL season than Lance.
I think he might be.
I think that's a thing.
I think he might be. Well, more impactful.
Good or bad. Good or bad. We're not saying he's going to be a better player. He's going to be a better quarterback, even if they both played on the same team.
Honestly,
I don't think he's better. He's going to be more impactful.
I cannot wait for our Patriots podcast, by the way.
Yeah. It's going to get weird.
That team sucks. And we're going to find out exactly how many wins a good coach is worth from Coach Belichick this year. But no. Your only thing I can add, the defense, this defensive class was weak on top of defensive players don't tend to make a huge impact their rookie year. So double down on not going to matter. And yeah, we're going to see a lot of Trevor Lawrence. We're going to see a lot of Zach Wilson, and we'll probably see a lot of Justin Fields. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know who else. You know what? We're going to see a lot of the Atlanta kid, the tight end.
Yeah, Pitts will make a big difference. So I wrote down there's probably like 4 or 5 receivers that'll make a difference.
Yeah.
I don't know who they'll all be. Hopefully Rashad Bateman with the Baltimore makes a difference. I think I watched a lot of him at Minnesota. They needed, one more piece up there to help that passing game, even though they lost their passing game coordinator. I think Pitts obviously makes a big deal. He has to. You have to make him part of the offense.
Yep.
And then it's tough with Cincinnati. Like, if the offensive line is still that bad, hopefully they can scheme around that. I'm not sure if Zach makes it out of the season. Hopefully Joe Burrow does, but they added a star receiver. A few teams did. What could be a star receiver? I think between the LSU guys, the Bama guys, Rashad Bateman, the both Moores and Pitts, like 3 or 4 of those guys are going to have decent years. It's just really hard to tell. Like, if you had to pick between all the receivers from last season, a lot of you'd probably Judy, Ruggs, and not just because I want to put this out there because I'm from Minnesota, but like I wasn't like excited about Justin Jefferson. I thought he was good. I thought he would be fine. I didn't expect that sort of season. It's a crapshoot. It seems like it's hard to figure out what makes it from one level to the next. So of those, there'll be some impactful receivers, but otherwise, again, once we get to the previews here, we'll touch on everybody's rookies and talk about the ones that might actually make some small differences, whether it's at a depth or some rotational guys or some people that'll see the field. We'll get to that, but for the most part, it's quarterbacks and a few receivers / tight end this year.
Yeah,
Najee Harris,
of course.
Najee Harris,
He's going to
fix that team.
He's going to completely turn around run game.
Again, we're not fantasy guys. Like, Najee Harris is probably a pretty good, like, he's probably going to see the ball a ton. And it's going to be because there's going to be a blitzing linebacker coming and he's going to have to dump it off to somebody. So the guy might have like 70 targets. I don't know. But I'm not super excited about any of the running backs / again, offensive linemen are great. There's 2 really good ones that'll make a big difference. We'll talk about them when we get to those teams. Returning impact players. And this kind of goes along with comeback player of the year. But
there's a lot.
We talked about the injuries that happen every year. Nasty season for that. Nasty season. I think Tampa Bay is losing right now. What?
What's the score?
I can't have that. The 1-0. It's 1-0 Canadians. God,
what
don't
period?
need that in my life. I don't know. It's probably the first, maybe the second.
It
was late in the first period.
Did puck drop at 8 Eastern?
They never start on time, but apparently we're 45 minutes into the game.
Well, that Canadian national anthem in Montreal is pretty awesome. If you've never seen it. We stand on guard. They sing it in both languages, don't they?
I would assume so. They love their French up there.
Returning impact players.
Just off the top, Dak, Sack, Joe Burrow, CMC, Jimmy G, and then, Winston being elevated. That's because you just kind of look at comeback player of the year and look at all those guys. But man, there were some nasty injuries. Like Dak. Yeah. Dak has the ability to be a top 5 quarterback, a top 5 offense. We don't know if the coach is going to allow that to happen, but that's a huge loss. Saquon, no matter what you think of running backs or how it works, like he's a home run threat, and it adds something to the offense. No mention what it takes away.
No mention by you of the offensive guard for Kansas City Chiefs.
We keep seeing this guy.
How could you just blow?
He's like the 10th favorite.
How do you blow by him?
Because it's an offensive line. An offensive lineman's not going to win comeback player of the year. It's just not a thing.
You did omit Derwin James, who could.
I didn't mention Derwin. There's a bunch of defensive players coming back that
a bunch.
You can just go look at the Chargers and find 6 guys that missed last year for sure. But this offense, the offensive lineman would have to have like a
Nick Bosa.
Man, he'd have to have a story. Like he would have to beat in a rare disease and like saved a bunch of orphans from a building during the season.
Did he beat a rare
a burning
disease?
building. No, I don't think so.
Oh, we don't know that though. We should fact check that. He might beat a rare disease. I don't know.
I mean, it happens. Like Eric Berry did. Like,
Yeah.
that was, and you can say whatever.
Trey
like,
Mancini.
Trey Mancini, like those
He's
people
going to be in
love
a
that
home
sort
run
of
derby
narrative.
next week.
Yeah, no, exactly.
That
sort of stuff plays into media stuff.
Cancer.
Like, don't think it doesn't.
You better believe it. All right.
Oh my God, Dan just said Nick Bosa survived the Capitol siege of January 6th. That's not true.
We shouldn't be laughing. People died, Andy.
People did die. Like that was a weird deal. What a weird year.
What a weird
year, right?
What a weird deal.
Tom Brady went to Florida and won.
A bunch of Twitter trolls stormed the Capitol.
Tom Brady went to Florida and won. Trump didn't.
Incredible.
Kind of a goofy year. Florida was close. Oh my God, Georgia.
Florida was close.
Grade the election bets, guys. Come on, let's go. All right. Yeah, returning impact again. We'll get more in depth on these, but like out of all these, it's clearly Dak is the most important with a bullet.
Very much.
Saquon will make a difference for that offense, no matter how much we hate how he's used. I don't think he's a net negative. I don't think it's some huge upgrade. I don't think he's a net negative because he has that big home run threat. The way they use him sucks because they just suck.
I liked their offense without him better last year.
I like Daniel Jones running the ball.
I hate their offense in general because Jason Garrett runs it. So forget about any kind of bullishness on the New York Giants as long as Jason Garrett is calling the plays.
Agreed. So I don't know. We'll see on that. Other than that, like I'm excited to see Winston starting. That's probably going to be a thing. What do you put the percentage that Jameis Winston is the starter this year?
50-50.
Yeah, I'm like 60-40.
I don't know.
I hope
it could be Hill.
We're very confused at the decisions that get made down there. Hill's getting paid a lot, so it might be Hill. CMC, does that move the needle for you?
They don't have money to pay a quarterback next year. I don't know what is going on in New Orleans. I don't know what is going on.
I think McCaffrey moves the needle because he's more of a receiving threat than honestly most running backs. He should. Most running backs in history, really, if we're going to come out and say it. Like, he can be just a straight up slot receiver at times. He's very good. He's an impact player in the receiving game. That'll make a difference. Yeah. That team, if they can fix whatever's broken with Darnold.
He's no Travis Etienne in the slot, but he is a good slot receiver. Yeah. He would be a good slot receiver. Yeah.
Jimmy G, I mean, that was one of those where we don't think that highly of Jimmy G. And I think that injury got overblown because everybody got hurt on that team. Like, they were just Chargers North. Like, everybody got hurt. They had so many injuries that it just blew up they lost their quarterback. No, they lost everybody. A bunch of defensive players, receivers, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, everywhere up and down. Everyone got hurt. So Jimmy G coming back doesn't move the needle a lot. I wish he wouldn't. I'd love to see what Trey Lance has, if he has it or not. I think they need to figure that out quick. I do have one wild card in here. Tight end, Jacksonville Jaguars, Tim Tebow, returning to the league. Needle moved?
Yeah, of course.
We're gonna hear about it, and it's gonna be annoying.
I think you have to respect the fact that Tim Tebow's back in the league.
When somebody goes out,
teams are going to have to game plan for him. Teams are going to have to game plan for him. Yeah.
And we joke, but he's a fucking athlete. Like, he's an athlete. He'll figure it out. The guy went and figured out how to play pretty high level minor league baseball.
If Logan Thomas can do it, why not Tebow?
Why not Tim? Why not now?
Why not us? Right? Why can't us? Yeah.
Why not our Jags? 12-1 to win the division. Drew said it months ago.
Yeah, it's probably down in the 7-1 range right now.
It's
so
7-8 to 1.
CLV down that one. That should go well.
Yeah, that always goes so well for us. And the last one, and before we just kind of hit it, if anybody has any questions or anything you think we missed on catch up, but coaching hot seats, there is a ton of guys I think that are on the absolute hot seat. Nagy, obviously. Zach Taylor, kind of, just because
Nagy.
I think
Nagy's the guy.
He's a placeholder. It's Nagy and McCarthy. And that's
Nagy's
the
guy you got to recognize. McCarthy to a degree, but Jerry Jones probably not a mistake admitting guy.
No.
I'm gonna put. Who am I gonna put on the hot seat?
Zimmer. If the Vikes are really bad.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to look up lame duck status. We need to look that up.
Trip Tepper here in the chat. He's been pretty active tonight. He asked, "What about Cliff?"
He's on the hot seat.
I think he's not. I think he's damn close.
I think he's on the hot seat because the GM is absolutely on the hot seat, and he's going to throw him under the bus if something goes sideways.
That's a good point. That they kind of go. There are some of these where it's like they go hand in hand. Nagy and Pace being the greatest example of that. Actually, in a long time. They're so attached to the hip where it's just if it goes, it's all going to go.
Ship. Yes.
Yeah, that's actually a decent take. There's a few guys, and somebody brought up the Cowboys are on Hard Knocks. Does that hurt or help Mike McCarthy? I don't think it helps him.
I don't think I've ever seen a Hard Knocks rap where I was like, I have higher confidence that this coach will. I have higher confidence that this coach is going to make it. Like Rex Ryan was entertaining as fuck, but I was like, after that was over, I was like, well, this is his only job he's ever getting. This is his only chance.
He's just going to get weird tattoos, jerk
who
off
are some of the other absolute losers on Hard Knocks? I guess McVay, I didn't have a worse opinion of McVay after but that was just a boring ass season. I didn't watch much of it. I had a worse opinion of Joe Philbin. Like I knew Joe Philbin was done for him in Miami after that season of Hard Knocks. There's probably some other good examples.
I think I had a little faith in McCarthy when he came in. That faith was quickly dashed. I had to turn around on that in a hurry. I don't think there's going to be like some clip of him saying something really smart. Like it's probably going to be the opposite. Like, oh no, this guy's straight up from the he's stuck in the early 2000s, maybe before that. I think there's going to be some bad clips. I'm not excited. Fangio. Somebody brought up Fangio. Maybe if the Drew Lock show really, really continues to take a downhill, tumble, maybe.
You buy any of the Drew Lock pre-mini camp?
Oh my God. It's the same as every sport ever. Like baseball players are in the best shape of their life.
I heard
Drew Lock is hitting everything.
I heard and read some stuff that was not positive about a couple of guys.
No, that's the thing. Like anything you read, it's like, well, this guy writes for the team. He's going to be like, yeah, stuff looked good. He made some mistakes, but he had a couple nice throws to close practice. And then, like, if you actually dig in, there's some people that give me the straight deal.
I read about Tua, is what you just said. The Drew Lock people were like, whoa. Like, that was surprisingly, I was not expecting that. Like, people were genuinely positively surprised by Lock.
Oh, somebody doesn't like your Patriots take. Well, you'll have to tune into the Patriots episode when we get to it.
Who's
he said
VR? Is it VR?
No,
is it Siege?
Bekele says the team went 7-9, just added 5 of its 6 best defensive players, 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, upgraded its O-line, and added a top prospect rookie quarterback. Sucks. Not accounting for the fact the greatest minds to ever spend time on football are mostly on the coaching staff.
Yeah,
they're still going to be bad.
Belichick lost his secret weapon. Ernie Adams retired.
Yep, that doesn't help.
No, and
we had that conversation last year. Was it Brady or Bill? Was it Brady or Bill? We're going to find out. It might have been Ernie.
It might have been Ernie.
Whole time.
Ernie and Brady, obviously. But in seriousness, though, the guys that took the year off for COVID-related reasons, I am giving them very low likelihood of performing at the level we saw pre-COVID. Those guys were all kind of at the end, not just the Patriots specifically, but pretty much everyone.
Across the league.
I think a year out of football, that it's good. It might feel like 10 years out of football. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it'll be another one of those teams where it's like either this stuff works out and they can. Yeah, no, it either works out and they're like a 10-win team, because I don't think they have the talent to be very great in the AFC. The AFC is just too competitive. If this doesn't work out, if it doesn't work out at all, they're an alt-under team for sure. So
here
Matt Patricia factor.
The Patriots lost meaningfully important talent on the offensive line. They have no quarterback, and a lot of the players they brought in seem like they fit a different system than what the Patriots can operate on offensively. Patriots defense might be great. They might be a top 5 unit, and they may win games on the back of solid defensive play with the, re-addition of some of the players who took a year off. But offense wins you football games in the NFL, in my mind. And
somebody brought up Le'Veon Bell as well as the taking a year off of football.
Yeah, right.
Again,
Yes, it's
running backs,
great comp.
Running backs tend to erode their talent at a quicker rate as well, but that's not a bad comp.
There's been other guys.
Oh, for sure. No, there are people that take time off. It's tough to get back into it. So I think league-wide we should be downgrading those players.
If you're a Nick Bosa type and you're young and you're getting back into shape coming off of a major injury, that's different in my mind than a guy who voluntarily steps away from the game for a year.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? I said we'd keep this tight.
I think that was good.
We're at 55, 56 minutes.
Yeah, let's save it. Let's save them.
We're going to save a lot of our takes for when we're going to spend 30 to 40 minutes on every team.
Yes, and I can't wait.
We're going to save a lot of our takes for those.
Hey, you know what, Andy? High five. Good job by you.
Damn it.
It was ready?
Oh, we did it. You couldn't see it. It's in the middle there.
Oh, okay. Are you reversed? Because you were going that way. Anyway,
I don't know.
Okay.
Dan, shout out Dan, threw together a new look for the deep dive.
Of course. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, subscribe, rate, give us a thumbs up by all means. We're going to be higher quality. The production quality, the content team over at BETSPERTS, led by our good friend Andy Molitor, is continuing to grow and improve and make things better, and we will have an improved look throughout the rest of the season. I'm excited for it, and it's great to be talking football again, man. Really good. Yeah,
really was. So, all right, before I go, definitely shout out WinBet, the sponsors, the whole month. About 3 more weeks actually. You can get your tumbler.
Yeah, and don't forget
at BETSPERTS on Twitter. All the details are there. Sign up for your account, get your tumbler. It's awesome. Yeah. It's a Yeti.
Yeah. Sign up for an account. Go check Andy's footy picks. Go bet your free bet at WinBet and get a free tumbler. Footy picks.
That's a whole different site. So
it's a whole different thing.
We'll catch you guys Wednesday. Tune in because
Andy
it will be schedule preview.
Ironically, Andy is a foot pick tout, but not a footy pick tout. He is. Those are free.
Those are free. Those are free until future notice. But yeah, the schedule grid is released in 2 days.
Yes.
Tune in Wednesday.
Can't wait.
That's going to be a good one. I'm excited for that. All right.
Talk to you then.
See you then.